In the heart of Silicon Valley, where innovation buzzed like the electric hum of circuit boards, there was a small cafe known as the Wired Bean. It was a quirky little spot, filled with mismatched furniture and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. On any given day, tech entrepreneurs and startup enthusiasts crowded its small tables, exchanging ideas and dreams over lattes, often dressed in the latest fashion trends. Into this bustling scene walked Oliver Finch, a tall figure with a slight slouch and a mop of unkempt hair. He wore an oversized faded blue hoodie and threadbare jeans that looked like they had seen better days. As he stepped inside, the chatter dropped momentarily, and heads turned. Whispers erupted like popcorn in a hot pan. "Look at that guy," one barista snickered, barely stifling a laugh. "What is he, a homeless coder?" "Seriously, who wears that in here?" another patron scoffed, nudging their friend. "He must think he's at a garage sale." Oliver felt the heat of their stares but pressed on, oblivious to the snickers, as he approached the counter. "A large black coffee, please," he said, his voice steady. "Coming right up," the barista chirped, still unable to hide a smirk. As he waited, the cafe buzzed around him, filled with the chatter of people discussing their latest app or venture. He leaned against the counter, tapping a rhythm on the edge with his fingers. Despite the mockery, he wore a small, content smile as he looked out the window, watching the world hustle past. Once he got his coffee, Oliver settled into a corner table, pulling out a battered laptop. He opened it with a soft click and began typing, the clacking of keys blending into the cafe's background noise. The world outside faded, and he lost himself in lines of code, his fingers dancing with precision. A few tables away, a group of well-dressed entrepreneurs lounged, their conversation turning to the latest tech trends. "Did you see the new AI software from Lumentech?" one of them said, adjusting his designer glasses. "They're going to crush the competition." "Yeah, but have you heard the rumors about their CEO?" another chimed in, stifling a laugh. "They say he wears the ugliest clothes to meetings. Looks like he raided a thrift store." The group erupted in laughter, and Oliver felt a pang of irritation but kept his focus on the screen. They had no idea, he thought, what it was like to live in a world where appearances mattered more than talent. Hours passed and the cafe filled and emptied, but Oliver remained lost in his work. He was fine with it. His life was in the code, not in the fashion faux pas. It wasn't until the sun began to dip low, casting an orange glow through the window, that he finally looked up. Just then, the door swung open and a whirlwind of energy entered. A woman with a sleek bob and a tailored blazer took the room by storm. She was the kind of person who commanded attention, her presence crackling like static. "All right, people, who's ready to make some real money?" she exclaimed, her laughter infectious. Oliver glanced over, intrigued by her confidence. The group at the next table perked up, nodding eagerly. "What's the pitch, Emily?" one of them asked, leaning forward. Emily grinned, eyes sparkling. "I've got a project that will turn heads and shake the industry, an app that connects tech innovators with investors. We're calling it LinkUp." The table erupted in excited chatter, but Oliver couldn't help but notice how they hung on her every word, how they savored her laughter like fine wine. He returned to his screen, distracted by the sudden buzz of fervor around him. "Come on, Oliver," one of the baristas called out, her voice teasing. "You should join them. Your coding skills could get you in on the ground floor." He looked up, a hint of a smile on his face. "I have my own projects to focus on." "Yeah, sure," she laughed, rolling her eyes. "And I'm sure those projects are going to change the world." Oliver chuckled softly. "You'd be surprised." Hours later, as the cafe began to empty, Emily approached Oliver's table. "Mind if I join you?" she asked, gesturing to the empty chair. "Not at all," he replied, closing his laptop. "I couldn't help but notice you working away," she said, her gaze curious. "You've been here all day. What's your secret?" He shrugged, a modest smile creeping onto his face. "Just a few ideas I'm working on. Nothing major." "Nothing major?" she echoed, raising an eyebrow. "You've been at it for hours. Most people would have given up after an hour." "I guess I'm stubborn." He leaned back, crossing his arms. "What about you? Big plans for LinkUp?" "Absolutely, I think it's going to be a game changer," she said, her passion evident. "But I need someone to help me develop it. Someone who can really code." "I might know a thing or two about that," he said, grinning. but I'm not sure I can fit into your world. Why's that? She asked, tilting her head. Because of your hoodie? He chuckled, glancing down at his attire, suddenly aware of how it contrasted with her polished look. More like I'm not exactly what people expect when they think of a tech CEO. Emily's eyes widened. Wait, you're not just some random coder, are you? He shrugged again, the smile still on his face. I'm Oliver Finch, CEO of Finch Technologies. The silence that followed was deafening. For a moment, Emily's mouth hung open, then she burst into laughter. You're joking, right? Not at all, he replied, raising an eyebrow. I get it all the time. People assume I'm just a guy in a hoodie. Wow, this is unexpected, she said, shaking her head in disbelief. You're the genius behind that AI software? The one everyone's raving about. Genius might be a stretch, he said, a hint of humility in his voice. But yes, that's me. Emily leaned closer, her curiosity ignited. You've been here all this time and I had no idea. Why not flaunt it? Because it's not about the clothes, he replied, his tone serious. It's about the work. I prefer to let my coding speak for itself. And it does, she admitted, the admiration evident in her voice. But you have to understand, first impressions matter in this industry. Maybe, he said, contemplating her words. But I don't want to be judged for what I wear. I want my skills to stand out. Fair enough, Emily acknowledged, her tone shifting to something more earnest. But if you're really interested in teaming up for LinkUp, I need someone who can not only code, but also handle the spotlight. We're going to have investors breathing down our necks. I can handle pressure, Oliver assured her, leaning forward. But I'm not changing who I am, just for appearances. Deal, she said, extending her hand, her smile brightening. Then let's make some magic happen. As they shook hands, Oliver felt a spark of excitement. Maybe this was the start of something new, something that could change how the tech world viewed him. They spent the next hour brainstorming ideas, the laughter and banter flowing freely. Emily's energy was infectious, and Oliver found himself opening up in ways he hadn't expected. Days turned into weeks, and their partnership blossomed. They worked tirelessly, coding late into the night, fueled by caffeine and ambition. At the same time, Oliver still faced the mocking glances from those who passed by his usual table at the Wired Bean. But now, it didn't bother him as it once did. He had Emily and a project that mattered. As they prepared for their pitch to investors, Emily glanced at Oliver, her expression serious. You know, I think we should dress for the occasion. It's a big deal. He chuckled lightly, shaking his head. I'll wear what I want. Oliver, she said, her tone firm but playful. You might be a tech wizard, but you need to present yourself in a way that commands respect. You can't just waltz in looking like you're about to fix a computer in your basement. Why not? He challenged, grinning. I fix computers in my basement all the time. Because this is different, she insisted. You're not just some coder. You're the face of this project, and you can't let them underestimate you. All right, fine, he relented, holding up his hands in surrender. I'll consider it. The day of the pitch arrived, and the air was thick with anticipation. They entered the conference room, a sleek space filled with investors and executives, their eyes sharp and calculating. Oliver's heart raced as he stood beside Emily, who wore a stunning blazer that seemed to radiate confidence. Remember, she whispered, nudging him gently, just be yourself. As they began their presentation, Oliver felt the weight of their gazes. He glanced at Emily, who nodded encouragingly. He took a deep breath and launched into the details of their project, his passion igniting the room. He spoke about the potential of LinkUp, about connecting innovators and investors in a way that had never been done before. The investors listened, intrigued. The energy in the room shifted, and Oliver found himself connecting with them. He showcased his coding prowess, explaining algorithms and potential impacts, and as he did, he noticed the initial skepticism fade from their faces. When the presentation ended, applause erupted, and Oliver felt a rush of exhilaration. They had captivated the room. As they walked off the stage, he turned to Emily, his heart racing. I think we did it. You were amazing, she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I told you it would work. As they celebrated with high fives and laughter, Oliver felt a change within himself. He had stepped out of his comfort zone, embraced the spotlight, and discovered that maybe appearances didn't matter as much as he thought. Weeks later, after securing funding and launching LinkUp, Oliver found himself back at the Wired Bean. This time, he wore a fitted shirt and polished shoes, blending in with the crowd. He ordered his usual coffee and took a seat, a smile still lingering from the success of their venture. As he opened his laptop, he overheard a familiar conversation at the next table. "Did you hear about the new app? Apparently, it was created by some guy who wears hoodies all the time." Laughter erupted, but this time Oliver didn't flinch. He looked up, catching Emily's eye from across the room. She winked at him, their shared understanding unspoken. He had changed, but he wouldn't let their laughter define him. With a newfound confidence, he returned to his work, the hum of the cafe buzzing around him, filled with possibilities and dreams. The world was his to code, and he was ready to take it on, hoodie or not.